What's going on, loves? So, you can absolutely quantum leap to your specific person, and there's nothing stopping you from actually doing that. I know on this channel and throughout any sort of manifestation coach or Neville Goddard or Joseph Murphy, they're going to talk about the bridge of events. But there are a lot of times in which the bridge of events is going to happen completely behind the scenes, and you're going to see this huge quantum leap from where you are to where you're going to go. And again, remember, when we talk about the bridge of events, it's never saying that the bridge of events has to take this much time or that much time. It's all within what you believe or feel could logically happen to take you from this point onto this point. And I'll give you a really quick example of this. So let's say right now you want or desire your specific person to show up in your reality tomorrow in the exact way that you want. If we are then to assume the state and take the idea I'm talking about in this video very seriously, we can quantum leap to that point. And the bridge of events may look like a whole host of things, but it can be a lot of things happening behind the scenes. Like, let's say your specific person messaged you tomorrow saying how much they missed you, wanted to be with you, and you're like, wow, this actually came out of nowhere. What made you want to do this? Or what made you think all of this? And they're going to give you this whole idea or all of these events that have happened. They could say, I've been actually thinking about this for a month. All of these things popped up in my reality that made me think of you. Again, a bunch of different things that happen behind the scenes that cause your reality to quantum leap to that end state. And thinking upon all of this, is there any reason that this cannot happen for you? And you'd have to say, oh yeah, it can absolutely happen. Because how do we know at this current moment your specific person hasn't been going through all these changes, events, ideas, and causes to have them think and align with the assumption that you're having within your mind? Again, I never want you to get it confused. The reason that your manifestation shows up in your reality is not due to these bridge of events. So these are only a way for your mind to logically create that path from A to B. And truly, if there is no path to this in your reality through your subconscious mind, you must automatically get that thing into, or it's going to pop right into existence. And this is actually an idea from a book called The Science of Success, and I really vibe with it because there are an infinite amount of ways and possibilities that you can get exactly what you desire. And it's only the lack of abundance that we could have internally as to showcase or have us basically be blind to these outcomes. So hopefully through this whole talk, I'm really convincing you as to why and how you can actually get your manifestation overnight, the next day, or you have the ability to actually quantum leap. And it may actually be better to think about it as quantum leaping, as in the case of manifesting within 24 hours. Because as we begin to put a time frame to something, it kind of puts stress on our mind and our body, right? Because we feel like, okay, I have to do it within this time frame. But quantum leaping gives a whole host of ideas and abundance that can happen, again, behind the scenes that would be the same thing as manifesting within 24 hours, but it kind of changes our viewpoint on it and makes it seem more real and more doable. And the funny thing is, when it comes to manifestation, more often than not, or almost all of the time, I will find in my own cases or in my coaching sessions, it is a huge quantum leap going from almost 0 to 100 very fast. And it's always the specific person telling you all of these things that have happened behind the scenes that you, or again, if you're manifesting, you were totally unaware of, but happened perfectly and coincidentally to bring you exactly what you desire in the best way possible. And this is why Neville Goddard talks about we are never meant to know how we get what we want. All we have to do is focus on exactly what it is that we desire, because the events that are going to happen in our external reality go above and beyond logical thinking. Because even if you were to think upon your entire life and how you got to this point in time, if I were to ask you, okay, could you have predicted every step of the way or everything that happened? And you'd have to say, well, no, a lot of amazing, awesome things happened that I didn't even think were possible, but actually were the perfect outcome, and I couldn't have had it any better. So if you are having a lot of the thoughts of, I'm trying so hard, but I'm not seeing results, or this is taking too long, I need to give up, if this is your thought process, then you are not thinking upon the true abundance and all the amazing things that are happening behind the scenes to have you quantum leap into your end state. And there's an analogy that I really, really like when it comes to this idea. And here it is. So we are right now going to take upon the job of a blacksmith. So what does a blacksmith do, right? They do a whole host of things. But one of which, I believe, I'm not a blacksmith, I don't know a whole bunch about them, but one of which is that they would need to melt metal down from its solid form into a liquid form. And then how is this done? So they need to heat something up really, really hot, and then they're gonna put, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a little bowl that they put the metal into, and then it melts down to its liquid form, and then they're able to actually use it for in any way that they want. They could make a sword, they could make a knife, they could make a horseshoe, they could make a, I don't think you'd make an anvil, you would use an anvil, but you get what I mean. But let's say right now we want to melt down a metal with a very high melting point. I don't know any specific metals with a high melting point off the top of my head, but I just want you to imagine it. So as we take this metal, again, we're a blacksmith, we're heating up the fire, we're getting it really, really, really hot because we need to melt this metal. And so then we take our metal, we put it into the bowl, and nothing happens, right? It's just sitting there. And you're like, well, why isn't it changing to a liquid yet, right? It's just sitting there, it gets hot. Maybe it like turns red for a moment, but you're like, it still looks exactly in the same way as when I put it in there. But is a blacksmith gonna think this way at all? Absolutely not. So when you put the metal in there, it needs to heat up and it's going to retain its shape. And then at the snap of a finger, when it reaches its melting point, it's all gonna collapse and then turn to liquid. And the blacksmith knows this, so he's not worrying about it. He or she is not worrying about it as they're attempting to melt this metal. But when it comes to manifestation and quantum leaping, we worry about this a lot, right? We're like, I'm putting in all this effort, where's my results? But that's, you heated up the fire, you put the metal in, but it needs to reach that melting point, and then it's all gonna collapse and become exactly what you wanted, and you're gonna be successful in exactly what you want. And that, I've found, happens, again, in the same way of manifestation of anything, especially with a specific person. Because like I mentioned, in a lot of coaching sessions, that's literally how it goes. There's a whole host of things, events, actions that happen behind the scenes that cause, again, once it reaches that melting point, once we cross over into that belief of the assumption, we start our entire reality switch instantaneously, quantum leap to the realm that we want, in the same way that this metal, once it reaches its melting point, it's going to completely turn to liquid. And right before that point and leading up to it, it almost looks like nothing is happening to it, right? Still has its same shape. It looks the same. Again, the only thing different might be it's changing color. But overall, if we were to go into and watch a blacksmith work and we watch them heat up some metal, we would be like, I don't think that's working. But the blacksmith, confident in knowing that it happens, is going to be like, just wait and see. This is going to be metal or liquid really soon. And that's the same outcome, thinking, idea, belief, and assumption that we want to have when it comes to manifesting at all. You need to have the confidence in knowing that everything you're doing is perfect, and it's just that metal, you're heating it up, and as soon as it reaches that crossing point, as soon as, again, we fully assume and believe exactly what we're thinking and feeling, everything is going to change. And it's funny because that's usually the difference between someone of like, how are these people manifesting in 24 hours? And it's like, because they're reaching that melting point very quickly and they're seeing that crossover. But again, if you were next to someone else who was melting metal and theirs was liquid and yours was not liquid yet because you haven't reached that melting point, you'd be like, how did they do that? Mine doesn't look anything like theirs. But theirs is only a few seconds away from what your metal is doing. And I want you to think That same thing, when you see a success story, your success and your manifestation is just moments away from that as well. So I hope you guys like this idea today, and I can't wait for you guys to quantum leap to your specific person. If you did have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And then also remember, you can reach out to me on my website if you wanted to send me a personal question or sign up for one-on-one coaching at kyleaugustcoaching.com. If you really like this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, and then also don't forget to subscribe. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.